At number one, the most beautiful uniform in all of sport. You can't even choose whether you like the home or away better. This thing's so good looking. I'm a believer that this team's going to win the national championships.
The rivalries. It's up there on top of the list, man. And if we allow them to devalue it, we lose a lot of what makes college football special. Don't let them do it. Don't let them devalue what it means to you.
Hey, welcome into Juck on Bucks. Appreciate you so much for joining me on a Thursday. As closely as we follow recruiting around here, sometimes prospects just pop up out of the blue. And we have talked about the 2026 quarterback for a long time. And a lot of people don't really care about the 2026 quarterback. Obviously, we know it's been hard to get that guy in the class. You're trying to get a guy to commit to come in after Tavian St. Clair and before Brady Edmonds, two of the best quarterbacks in the country. Even though Brady Edmonds' rank has dropped, these dudes all know who the dudes are, and everybody knows Brady Edmonds is a dude. Now, you were in on some of the top guys earlier. You were in on Jared Curtis before Corey Dennis left. You were real in on Diabell. Like that was going real good before he committed to Texas. You've taken your swing at Jonas Williams. You've taken your swing at trying to get in on Ryder Lyons late. And the Bucks have just kind of been getting rejected and dropping down the board, rejected and dropping down the board. Most recently, you looked at Jet Tamala out in Nebraska, did not offer him. I thought he was a great looking prospect. He commits to Iowa State and then gets invited to the Elite 11, top-notch quarterback. You were also looking at Derek Zammit out of New Jersey. DePaul Catholic kid was throwing the ball to our freshman wide receiver, Des Jones. And the Bucks did not offer him. They were going to go out and see him in New Jersey. He did not wait for them. He committed to Washington. Every time you turn around, one of these guys is off the board, like immediately. Most recently, looking at the quarterback that's the commit to Louisville and Cade Kaufman, who's committed to Michigan State. But I think that the Buckeyes have now found their guy. I think that they have found their guy, and he is out of Mission Viejo. And if that sounds familiar, it's because that is Philip Bell's high school. Philip Bell, freshman wide receiver at Ohio State, who is pleasantly surprising me and a lot of people. He's looking fantastic. Well, back when Luke Fahey was a sophomore, he's the one who was throwing all those touchdowns to Philip Bell at Mission Viejo. And he is about 6'1", 190 pounds. He plays a real improvising game, got a real good arm. He can run. He's mobile. He's a competitor. State champs in 2023, not state champs in 24, but they got close. In 2023, over 2,000 yards. Last year, this kid threw 17 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, which I think is pretty cool. Definitely love to have a guy with 0 picks on the resume. That's something. 17 touchdowns, no picks. Usually, you think you even have a garbage time pick in there. A little smaller than you normally think Ryan Day would like at 6'1". Julian Saint's one thing. He's a 5-star, but usually, especially after Will Howard, and we heard him talk over and over about Will's size. He was pretty enamored with that size. So I thought that maybe one of these bigger guys that he's been looking at is the direction he was going to go. But it looks to me like this kid is the dude, and I'll tell you why. Number one, Stanford and Indiana are the two that are in on him big right now. And you don't want to poo-poo Indiana and Stanford, but they're not Ohio State. Now, there are some guys that when they are in on Stanford, Stanford is a real threat because the people that are in on Stanford are smart enough to get into Stanford, and they really appreciate that Stanford education, as they should. If you're not planning on playing professional football, that's a guaranteed really, really good job if you do well there for sure. But I don't think that's the case here. He has called Ohio State one of his dream schools, which, that's usually the kiss of death when we hear that. But I think this is a little different. Now, Indiana, obviously, the Bucks can you would think beat them easily, but then you got to factor in where this kid's putting himself in between the two guys that are total studs. That's going to factor in heavily to the decision. The reason I think he's the guy is he is coming in June 20th for an official visit. He does not yet have an offer. He's going to get that offer on June 20th. They wouldn't invite him in for an official if he wasn't. So Luke Fahey, kind of a gunslinger, kind of a playmaker, doesn't look like a Ryan Day system fit from his highlight film, but we're only seeing a little snippet of what they want us to see. We don't see him much working in the system. They want to show off, and he can make plays on the move, and he certainly does a lot of that. He's mobile, a competitor. So all in all, I really like it. And I think this just might be the guy in this class. 4-star, barely, top 400 guy. Great, perfect. Now, does it matter? No, of course it doesn't matter. It does because I know, a lot of us like to see Ohio State finish as high as possible as we can in that class rank. And some of these guys they were after were mid-range 3-stars, which would have brought that down. Now you get a 4-star in there, so a blue chip quarterback. I like it. It'll bring that up. And ultimately, whether you ever have to play this guy or rely on this guy or not, who knows? But he looks like a quality quarterback, and I like having him in the system. So let me know what you think about his film and his highlights. I'm pretty excited about Luke Fahey. Now, obviously, the talk of this class for us around here and us as Buckeye fans has been defensive linemen. Currently, not a single defensive lineman committed. However, Ohio State has official visits scheduled with a whole bunch of excellent high-level defensive linemen. Carter Meadows, Luke Waffle, PJ Dean, Deuce Gerald's, just a pile, Preston Khary, Carter Lucky, of really, really high-quality, high-level defensive linemen. And you would think they're going to get their share. They're going to get their share for sure. The ones you want them to get are the top dogs, obviously. Carter Meadows would be, to me, probably number one on the board because I think you really need that premier edge rusher. And to me, he's that guy in this class. He's that premier edge rusher. So that would be the huge one. Luke Waffle right there with it. PJ Dean and Deuce Gerald's, they're the interior guys. You lose JJ Perez, but Cam Brickle or Preston Khary are a couple of 300-pounders. If you could get them in, that would be really good to get a couple of big bodies in there, at least one of those guys. But we saw Ohio State go take this trip out west, and they go out west and they're offering some new guys and going and visiting some guys that they have offered. And one of the guys that Larry Johnson and Matt Patricia had offered and went and visited was Khary Wilder. And Khary Wilder is out of Junipero Serra, which is California has the coolest high school names, but Junipero Serra, they go out and visit this kid at his house. Now, this is a composite 4-star, top 250 guy, averaged out to be like the number 32 defensive lineman in the country, which is similar to the kid out of Alabama that Larry offered recently. He's 6'3", 255, got the holy grail of offers. I'm sorry, no, he doesn't. The holy grail of offers is Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State. He's got Alabama, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. So pretty doggone close. He's working on scheduling an official to Ohio State. Now, when we look at Ohio State's defensive line and we look at all the targets they got, when you see Ohio State, after all these officials are scheduled and they're coming up right here next month and they're going and offering somebody, all of a sudden I start to think, oh no, is there bad news coming? Do they know something? Something bad's coming with these other targets? Are they dropping down the board? But clearly they're not dropping down the board by rankings. So I wanted to watch the kid, of course, as I always do. Now, last year, at about this time, when you were missing some guys and kind of dropping down the board, the Buckeyes fell upon Jarquez Carter. And when I watched Jarquez Carter's film, my immediate reaction was, oh my gosh, they missed one. They missed one. And by they, I mean the people doing the rankings, they missed one because he looked like a baby Warren Sapp. It was something. It was something else. It was something different. He's got a next level burst, next level violence and strength. The kid, then I found out later, his 225-pound bench reps would have been second on the team last year to Donovan Jackson, a dude who just went in the first round of the NFL draft. Like, that's how strong he is, but he's also as quick as Warren Sapp. Maybe I'm over-exaggerating how quick he is, but he just had that build, and it just all looked like that. It just felt like Warren Sapp coming out of high school. But I was super stoked, and it was clear that they missed one. And I'm telling you right now, watch Khary Wilder. This kid is legit. And to me, he has just jumped ahead of a whole lot of these guys that are rated way higher than him on my board. As far as the dudes that are coming in for official visits, this dude is the real deal. I mean, absolute real deal. Crazy burst, crazy get off, the violence, the motor. This guy's highlight is 7 minutes long. Most of these defensive linemen's like 2.5 minutes. It's just play after play after play, violence, fire. He's got it all. He's got it all. And if I were to show you him and I were to show you the number 4 guy, you would have no idea who was who because they look exactly the same. It's all there. So they missed one. And Larry and Matt Patricia are bringing this dude in. And he's going to set up an official. Currently, here's the best part. His officials right now are UCLA and Washington. So USC's not in on him, which I don't know how that happened. They offered him, but they're not in on him. And this dude is for real. He's absolutely for real. I would love to get this guy. In fact, if you told me right now, based on Ohio State's board, when we look at all the studs on that board, there's a whole lot of guys on here that I would trade for this kid, like straight up. This isn't one of those situations where you're missing and dropping down the board. I don't know why you only got Washington and UCLA in on this dude. Not just that 3.6 GPA. I'm trying to sit here and figure out like, okay, what am I missing here? Is it grades? No, 3.6 GPA. Listen to an interview. Very mild-mannered, nice-spoken kid. All right, man. Yeah, they just missed. They missed, but the Buckeyes are in on them, and I am pumped for this one. I'm sitting here, and a top 4 just came out. It's Demari Simeon. Demari Simeon dropped his top 4. Now, Demari Simeon, out of New Jersey, the number 2 player in the state of New Jersey, defensive lineman. He's dynamic. Really, really good player. He has dropped his top 4. And, of course, the number 1 player in New Jersey is Luke Waffle, edge rusher. You've also got out of Pennsylvania, Jackson Ford, who's a top 250 overall, an edge guy. And then you've got Carter Meadows out of Washington, D.C., who is a 5-star, one of the best edge rushers in the country. So those 4 guys, right? Well, Demari Simeon just dropped his top 4. And I want to go through everybody's top 4 here that I just mentioned. So you've got Luke Waffle, Ohio State, Penn State, Texas, South Carolina. Demari Simeon, Ohio State, Penn State, Texas, Michigan. Carter Meadows, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, South Carolina. Jackson Ford, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. I don't know his 4th yet. I don't know that he's narrowed it down to his top 4, but those are his top 3. Now, high-level dudes here. I want to say that what we're seeing is an elevation of Penn State's recruiting like we saw last year with Michigan's recruiting. They're on the ups. They're on the ups. Now, it helps that they are really good in New Jersey and they're really good in D.C. To get Waffle and Simeon and Carter Meadows on board, and obviously the other kid's a hometown kid. You could say that, but seems like a lot of kids from PA and from the areas that they were usually strong in recently had been shunning Penn State a little bit. They were horrible in state last year. But with Michigan on the up and up, these guys now on the up and up, we've got a lot more competition in the Midwest. And it's something. It's something. I think we would have seen previous classes. The Buckeyes have a layup with a couple of these 4 guys. And that's not happening. These are going to be fights to the end. And we got ourselves some real Midwest competition with Notre Dame recruiting on the ups big time. Michigan on the ups. Now Penn State raising their floor as well. In the Big Ten footprint just keeps getting tougher, keeps getting better. Big Ten fans should love it. I am so glad that Ryan Day is the coach of Ohio State. And I say that because Ryan Day is a guy who understands the power that Ohio State has, a guy who understands the power the head coach at Ohio State has, and consistently makes the right choice for college football. I feel the same way about Kirby Smart for the most part. He was behind the Rhule, getting rid of the stopping of the clock on first down. I can't stand that. He was behind that. But for the most part, I agree with things Kirby says. He's on the right side of history to me. Because guys like Matt Rhule are not. Matt Rhule does not understand where he's at. Matt Rhule is talking at Nebraska like he coaches a G5 program. Matt Rhule does not understand that Nebraska is a blue blood with tons of money, and he is trying to build the blue blood back into competing for conference championships, competing for national championships, and representing college football at a blue blood program, one of just 8 in the country. I think he's a great coach. I've got them rated really high this year. This is year 3, his year. But I sure wish this guy was back in the NFL because, I mean, I can't stand him. Here he goes again, man. Here he goes again with some total garbage. It started with the cancellation of the spring game, pretending like Nebraska was just this one-off, most watched spring game there's ever been, and it aired, and it kept on airing, and all these coaches were coming in for Nebraska's players because they saw them on TV, and this big song and dance because he didn't want to play the spring game. It's a bunch of nonsense. If you didn't want to play the spring game, or if you didn't want somebody to poach your players, all you had to do was wait till the portal closed, like Washington did, like Oregon did, like a whole lot of people did who wanted to play the spring game. It was a nonsensical argument. Nebraska makes no money off of it. It's a bit of the pain in the butt. It's just for the fans. Therefore, it wasn't important. Not enough to bother. So he played this big game about protecting his team from the evil tamperers, etc. And then, not even a month later, he canceled a scheduled game with Tennessee. And he goes on to tell Urban Meyer, why in the world would a Big Ten team that's already playing 9 conference games, why would you play one of those games? Why would you do that? Now, keep in mind, when he canceled the game, Nebraska said they were doing it because of stadium renovations and limited capacity, etc. Some nonsense excuse. But it was about competition. He didn't want to play the game, which he admitted to Urban Meyer on his podcast. Why would you want to play those games? Well, you would play those games because if you win and you're a team on the cusp of the playoffs, which that's all he's got an opportunity to be, is on the cusp of the playoffs. He's not getting, he's not going to go win or lose one game. That's not happening. So his only way to get in the playoffs is going to be, you better put together a good resume. If you got 3 losses, you better give me a good win, a couple of them. That's an opportunity for him to do that. He didn't want to do that. That would be a big opportunity or a big reason you would want to play that game. You would also want to play that because you are a school who is in a contract and it's the right thing to do. You might also want to play it because it's fun and it's college football, or because you're Nebraska, you're a blue blood, or because you keep bragging about how strong your conference is. Maybe you might want to go represent it against the SEC. There are a plethora of reasons why you would want to play it. There's only one reason not to, and that reason is I want the easiest thing I can possibly do. And that's what he always defers to. Well, here he goes again, as Matt Rhule was talking to Huskers Online and jokingly talked about the more spots, the better, talking about the playoff. Let's go to 40. Let's go. So he was joking about 40, or was he? He continued. The more spots, the better. We're playing in a really, really tough league. We're playing some really, really good teams. And you know what? If you play in this league, you deserve a chance to get to the postseason and see what you can do. So his stance is, if you play in the Big Ten, you deserve a chance at the postseason, which everybody has. Everybody has a chance at the postseason. He continues, I think, again, you're playing in a league that we play 9 conference games. Some others play 8. That's an automatic disadvantage. And he goes on to say, because you're playing that one extra one, if you swap that out for a group of 5, it's one extra win. We understand that. So because he plays 9 conference games and he's in the Big Ten Conference, he deserves a chance to get to the playoffs too. Even if his record is not good enough to get there, you should just add more teams into the playoff so that Matt Rhule gets an opportunity to get in there because he plays in the Big Ten. And if he's got a game on the schedule that he thinks is difficult, well, that game's got to go because Matt deserves to be in the postseason. This thing literally just expanded to 12 teams. All you got to do is be a top 4 team in the Big Ten, and you're guaranteed to get in the playoffs. Like we're a couple years removed from an undefeated team getting left out. And it went from that to now all you got to do is be top 4 in the Big Ten, and you're gold. And this guy wants more already. It's disgusting. If you can't make a 12-team playoff field, do you think you have a chance at winning? If they expand it to 24 and you're the 17th ranked team, do you think you have a chance at winning it? Of course you don't. Why does he want it so bad? Because he can be a playoff coach and call himself a playoff coach? The playoff doesn't mean anything if there are 24 teams that get in. But the worst part about it, and why this guy bothers me so much, if you recall, when he canceled the spring game, the 4 days following that, we saw Ohio State, Texas, and USC all follow suit, almost as if they had talked about it beforehand. Who do you think is the next coach that we're going to see cancel an out-of-conference game? I bet we see it real soon. And we got another game like USC, like Notre Dame, like Nebraska, Tennessee that we just saw that is on its last year of its contract, and that's Miami and Florida. They're only scheduled through next year. They probably won't renew. I know I got a lot of Big Ten fans in here, a lot of Buckeye fans, but a lot of Big Ten fans. You could be Buckeye fans. You could be fans of other teams. Welcome if you're Buckeye fans. I love you. If you're from somewhere else, I don't love you, but I appreciate you watching. But this applies to all of the Big Ten fans. Matt Rhule, what he said is correct. It does put it does put Nebraska or any Big Ten team at a disadvantage to play that 9th home game. But the way I hear Big Ten fans say it, they come at the SEC with vitriol about it. Let's just do a hypothetical here. It's 2017. Okay. It's 2017 right now. You own a restaurant called Charlie's Cheesecake Factory, and I own a restaurant called Juck's Jambalaya right across town. We're a mile apart. In the city that we live in, whoever has the most gross sales, us and all of our employees at the restaurant get sent on a cruise. We get a big reward if we have the most gross sales. And we talk about it all year at my place, at your inferior Charlie's Cheesecake Factory. You talk about it all year with your employees. Everybody wants to win this cruise. It's a huge prize. It means everything to us. We talk about it all year long. And after a couple of years, we go back and forth winning the cruise. You decide that you no longer want to be open 7 days a week because you're tired. You want to only be open 6. You come down, you let me know. I say, all right, I appreciate that. Okay, thanks for letting me know. So you close down that 7th day. Then the newspaper comes to me and says, hey, Charlie's Cheesecake Factory is closing on Mondays. Are you going to close on Mondays too? I say no. They say, what day are you going to close? I'm not going to close. That doesn't work for me. We've always been open 7 days a week, and we're going to continue to be open 7 days a week. That's the way our employees want it. Those servers need those extra hours. They work off tips. The cooks want that overtime. We're going to continue to be open 7. And then a year comes around, and my restaurant wins the cruise. And the next year comes around, and my restaurant wins the cruise. And on we go, and I go on an unprecedented run of winning the cruise every year. And your customers and your employees start saying, well, they're winning the cruise. Yeah, but they're open 7 days a week. Why don't they close on that 7th day? They're making it harder for us. We're only open 6 days a week. These guys are open 7 days. They're soft. They want to win the cruise, but they don't want to close on that 7th day. They think they're tough, and they won't close on that 7th day. And your customers start harassing my customers, saying your restaurant's only open 6 days a week. You guys got an advantage to win the cruise. Now, here's the question. Do I have an advantage to win that cruise for my employees and my customers and whoever else? Do I have an advantage over you? Yes, I have an advantage. Who gave me the advantage? You were too tired to work the 7th day, and you gave me the advantage. In 2017, the SEC, the ACC, and the Big Ten all played 8 conference games. And the Big Ten said, we want more money. We're going to add a 9th conference game. And the SEC and the ACC said, well, do what's best for you. That doesn't work for us. Our customers, coaches, and ADs, and our employees are not interested in 9. And you knew the consequences, and you said, I still want that money. We're going to go ahead and do it anyway. And the SEC and the ACC said, okay, enjoy yourself. Now here we are, less than 10 years later. The SEC and the ACC still play 8 games, which they told you all along they were going to do. The Big Ten still plays 9, and fans of the Big Ten are furious about this, which is understandable, but they direct their anger at the wrong people. The SEC didn't do it. The Big Ten did it. The SEC told them all along, I'm not going to do it. And the Big Ten knew they were going to be at a disadvantage and still did it because they wanted more money. The SEC and the ACC don't owe a 9th conference game because they made it clear from the beginning they weren't interested in doing it. You see what I mean? This misplaced anger about the Big Ten playing 9 conference games, which we all agree is a disadvantage. But it's misplaced anger and calling the SEC soft because, hey, we did this. We made this big change. Now you do it too. Like, what would you do if I told you that? Like, put yourself in my restaurant. What if I came to you and said, you got to close this 7th day because I'm closing too? Man, piss off. Who are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, anyway, the point is they're going to start playing that 9th conference game. It's going to be on a more even playing field. And they're going to do it because they're going to get their way with the auto bids. And it'll all be even Steven. And then we can quit hearing Big Ten fans with misplaced anger and Matt Rhule cry and whine about it. Guy's a cancer, man. I hate this month, man. I really hate it. I don't know how I did this last year. I wasn't doing 5 shows a week last year, but I'll say that. But there is so nothing going on this month as far as our Buckeyes go. I feel like we've covered everything 3 times. So just trying to keep us busy with some college football conversation. And I've made a lot of lists. You guys wouldn't believe the lists I've got. I've got the top 10 coaches this century. I've got our SEC championship list to go over. I've got my top 10 uniforms in college football. You want to go over that one? Let's go over that one. All right, let's do it. We're going to do our top 10 uniforms in college football. I am a huge fan of college football uniforms, and I wanted to sit down and put down my top 10 college football uniforms. So here we go. But let's start with the 4 who just missed the list. We start with Big Red. It's classic. It's simple. I love the slim stripe down the middle of the helmet. I love the little N. It's iconic. Maybe not to people who are younger than me, but for those of us who are a little older, this look means something. The Washington Huskies, I've always loved this color scheme. They got a purple that's a little more skewed towards the blue, and matching that with this old gold is a beautiful look. The Florida Gators just missed my list. I know a lot of people don't like the Gators uniforms. I really like them. I don't know. Ever since I was a kid, just been drawn towards this blue and orange combination. Love the way they do it together. The multicolored stripes on the sleeves, really sharp. I've also got Notre Dame on my first 4 out. I used to like it. They changed the pants to a spicy brown mustard, and I don't like the way it matches the helmet at all. And for that, it disqualifies them from my top 10. At number 10, I got Tennessee. I love the shade of orange, even though it's kind of feminine. It works. I like the power tee. I love the thick stripe down the middle of the helmet. I love the striping down the pants. When Tennessee steps on the field, it's uniquely them, and I love it. At number 9, another timeless classic, a 2-toner, Penn State. We got the white. We got that pretty shade of blue. When Penn State walks out on the field, it just makes me feel good. And I don't even like Penn State. At number 8, I've got USC. I love the color scheme. I love the Trojan logo. I love the double piping down the pants, but I especially love the shoulder stripe. Nobody does it like SC. Also, extra points for using your secondary color, in this case gold, for the number on their Cardinal jersey. I like it when a team uses that secondary color instead of white for the number. At number 7, I got the Georgia Bulldogs. You got the black, you got the red, you got the gray. Mixes very well together. Few things to separate this one for me and make it a little more unique. On their home jerseys, they've got the thick black collar. On their away, it's the thick red collar. Love that. I love the black outline on the numbers, but most especially, I love the tri-colored striping down the pants. Very unique. They make it work great. At number 6, I've got Auburn. A lot of people will not have Auburn very high on their list. It just pops to me. I don't know why. I love the shade of orange mixing with that blue. I really love the striping on the pants and on the jersey. It's very unique looking. That is Auburn's uniform. You know it as soon as you see it. It's a sharp look and it's a tough look. At number 5, I've got LSU. I do love this purple and gold together. I'm not crazy about LSU on the helmet, and I wish that instead of this tiger, they would go to the eye that they use in the middle of the field at the 50. That is awesome. That would be so much better on the helmet. Love the top of the shoulders piping here. It looks great. The purples that we don't see often, those look great too. Perfect uniform for LSU. Wish they would do something with the logo on the helmet. At number 4, I got the Texas Longhorns. The logo's great. The all whites are beautiful. They're so clean. I like that they spell Texas out on the front of the jersey. Most schools don't do that. I even like the font that they spell Texas out in. Of course, the burnt orange with the white, a classic combination. It's very unique. It's all them. They own it, and they do well with it. At number 3, I've got a uniform that if you told me my team has to trade uniforms with one team, who would I pick? The UCLA Bruin All Blues. My gosh, man. There was a period of time where Adidas was screwing up the blue. I don't know how you do that. It's back to normal now. It is so gorgeous. The piping down the shoulders is gorgeous. The shade of blue, the prettiest shade of blue you've ever seen, and mixing with that old gold, it is beautiful. USC and UCLA playing their color on color game is the most wonderful thing I've ever seen in my life. If only UCLA could field a decent football team. All right, let's go to number 2. It's Michigan. Michigan's uniform is near flawless. The famed wing helmet came over from Princeton with Fritz Chrysler, and Michigan just kind of owns it. The fact that it actually looks a little bit like a Wolverine's markings was just a bit of luck. The maize is now maize again. Adidas was screwing it up. It looked more like yellow. Jordan took it over, made it look maize again. At number 1, the most beautiful uniform in all of sport. You can't even choose whether you like the home or away better. This thing's so good looking. It's so good looking that it's not even as good looking as it can be because they don't wear the gray stripes. If they brought back the gray stripes, this thing is so far out in front of everybody, you can't touch it. The thing about the uniform is it changes throughout the year. The helmet totally changes when you start off with no Buckeye leaves, then half Buckeye leaves, then all of a sudden it's a full Buckeye leaf helmet. Nothing's like it. Totally unique, totally Ohio State, the most gorgeous uniform there is, the number 1 team in the whole country, and yeah. All right, always enjoy that. That was me playing around with my green screen, seeing how that looked with the helmet and everything. I kind of like the finished product. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you feel about the list. Please do like the show. Please subscribe. I appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Juck and Bucks out.